Hey everyone! In this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you all about detecting input from a user, either detecting that they are using their mouse and clicking their mouse, or that they are pressing a specific key on the keyboard or holding it down. I'm going to teach you all about that in this tutorial now. Let's go ahead and start a new project by clicking New. Make sure that it is a 3D project. And then I'm going to rename my project to Inputs Are Cool and press Create. Now that we have a new scene, I am going to create a box by right-clicking, 3D Object, and adding a cube. Make sure you're right-clicking in this hierarchy to be able to do that. Now we are going to rename this cube Clickable Object, and we are going to add a script to it called onMouseExample. Select New Script, and then create an add. And now we want to open up our script, so go ahead and double click on the C# script icon over here for our onMouseExample script. And what I want to do is have a print statement appear in our console whenever this script detects that we are clicking on the object that the script's attached to. To do that, we are going to use a built-in function called the onMouseDown function. Let's start typing void onMouse and select onMouseDown, and it's going to create this function for you. And then for now, all we want to do is make a print statement. I'm going to type print box clicked and end that with a semicolon. Make sure that that is typed exactly how it is typed here. Print, open parenthesis, and surrounded by quotations, box clicked, and parenthesis, and a semicolon. I'm going to make sure this script is saved, and let's go back to our project. Press Ctrl S to make sure your scene is saved, and then press the play button. Now, if I click on this box, we should see that message in our console. If I click it multiple times, as you see, it'll continue printing that message. Let's press play to exit play mode. Now let's go back to our code. Other than onMouseDown, there's another function. Type void onMouseEnter, and if you click on that, it'll set up your function here. And what onMouseEnter means is instead of the moment you click down on the box, this is going to print a statement the moment your cursor enters the box. So let's print, and in our message, inside of that print statement, we are going to say, the mouse has entered the box. Make sure to put a semicolon at the end and press Ctrl S. Let's go back to our scene and press play. Now, look what happens when I just hover my mouse over the box. I'm not clicking at all. It is just telling me that the mouse has entered the box. We still have that print statement saying when I click the box, so look. When I stay inside of the box, I am not re-entering it, so it doesn't give me another print statement as I'm moving inside of the box. But if I exit the box and then re-enter the box, that print statement down there in the console will let me know that that mouse has entered the box. Let's press clear to clear all these messages in our console, and then let's return to our script. Let's make sure that we are putting our new function underneath the onMouseEnter function, and we are going to type void onMouseExit. Click on onMouseExit. We are going to copy and paste this print statement, Control-C and Control-V, and we are going to change the statement inside. We are going to say the mouse has exited. The mouse has exited the box. Press Control-S, and let's return to our scene and test it. We have a message telling me that the mouse has entered the box, and now we got a message saying that the mouse has exited the box. This is most useful for if you wanted to create some kind of UI, a user interface that would maybe make it so that once you hovered over an object, it would become highlighted by some kind of glow, and then when you leave the object, that glow could fade away. A lot of games use that kind of method where once you hover over something, it allows you to see that you can click on it by giving it some kind of glowy outline or just any kind of selection outline. This is how you would be able to detect whether or not the mouse is hovering over that object. Then, as the same as the last two, if I click the box, we get a message saying box clicked still. Let's click play again to exit play mode. Let's go back to our script. Underneath your onMouseExit method, I want you to start typing void onMouseUp. There we go. And I want you to type another print statement. This time it's going to be one that says print box unclicked, because that is precisely what this onMouseUp function does. The onMouseDown function, once you press your mouse button down, that is when you are going to get that print statement. For onMouseUp, when you release your mouse button, your finger goes up and the mouse button goes up, that is when you are going to receive this print statement. For now, I'm going to show you how to comment out some of these print statements so that we are not seeing too many in our console. Let's start with the middle two. I want to keep box clicked, but we don't want to know whether or not the mouse has entered the box anymore. So let's click right before the print statement of onMouseEnter, and I want you to type /, which is the key that shares your question mark key. It is to the left of your right shift button, and it is to the right of your angle bracket keys. Press another /, and notice how it highlights the entire line in green. That makes it not affect the script as code. It turns it into a comment. Now let's go down to onMouseExit. Place your cursor before the print statement and put the double // once more, // and that changes that into a comment. press Control S to save that. And now we are going to test our scene once again. Press the play button. And now, as you'll notice, it won't tell me anymore on my console whether or not I am inside or outside of the cube here. But if I click, I'm holding my click right now. I have not unclicked, and it says box clicked. I am going to lift and unclick now, and as you can see, we got a little message that says box unclicked. Now I'm going to show you something. I'm going to click again and hold. Then I'm going to move out of the area of that cube. And then I'm going to release. It still says box unclicked. So just so you know, it saves that you are holding down. It doesn't matter where you unclick, it just matters that when you clicked your left click on this cube, whenever you unclick, it's going to call to that on mouse up function. Let's press play again to exit play mode and clear our console. Now we're going to talk about the on mouse drag function. Go back to our code, and we are going to add another function underneath on mouse up. I'm going to press enter to add new lines, and I'm going to start typing void on mouse drag. And now I'm going to make another print statement. Let's say print the box is still being clicked. On mouse drag is very similar to the on collision or on trigger stay functions when we're dealing with colliders. What I mean by that is on mouse drag detects exactly how long we have been clicking and holding on this box. Let's press Control S to save. Go back to our scene and then test our scene by pressing play. I'm going to click and then I'm going to hold, but before I do that, I'm going to press collapse on my console so that instead of seeing a huge disorienting list of messages, you are going to see one message, and then to the right of that is going to be the number of increasing messages that I am receiving. You'll see what I mean right now. This is what happens if I just click and unclick once. So even just that amount of time, for 6 seconds, it was being detected as clicking and dragging. I clicked the box, I held the box for like 6 frames, and then I unclicked the box. Now, these numbers are just going to increase, so I'm going to clear them right now. But take a look at the middle message and see exactly how many I get if I just click and hold for a while. Watch. It is that number increasing to the right of that message. You'll see, before I unclicked, I got all the way to 770. Let's press play to make sure that our scene is not still playing. I am going to clear my console, and then I'm going to go back to my script. I am going to uncomment these 2 lines the print statement inside of the on mouse enter function and the print statement inside of the on mouse exit function. To do that, all you have to do is erase, press backspace on those two / symbols. Now I'm going to show you how to comment out a large chunk of code. We are going to click right here, right behind private. This is the start of our chunk of code that has to do with mouse detection. And I want to comment out what we have written so far, because I don't want to erase it. I want it to be there so that we can reference it, but I don't want it to be showing up right now in our scene. So let's press / and then hold Shift and press the 8 key above your keyboard, and you'll notice that all of this turns green, but we don't want all of it to be green. You'll see we get this red squiggly line, and that's because we commented out the end bracket of the container for the public class, and we shouldn't do that. So click right here behind this bracket after the on mouse drag function and press Shift and hold that. Press the 8 above the keys on your keyboard and then press /. As you can see, this lit up again. It's not green anymore, and only this chunk of code has been commented out. I'm going to press Ctrl+S to save that, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see what that looks like. Now I'm going to add another function under all of that, under that chunk of commented out code, and I'm going to type void on mouse over, and we are going to type print, and in parentheses, surrounded by double quotation marks, I'm going to type the mouse is hovering over the object. This is incredibly similar to on mouse enter, but I believe on mouse over is going to continuously give us this message as long as our mouse is hovering over the object, as opposed to on mouse enter only giving us a message the moment that the mouse enters the cube space itself. So let's end that with a semicolon. Press Ctrl+S. And now the only print statement when we return to our project, the only print statement when we press play that we should be getting is when we are hovering our mouse over this cube here. Press play to test your scene. And let's see. And as you can see, it stops when I'm not hovering my mouse over it anymore. And then it continues if I have it inside. Let me press play to exit play mode, and as you can see, the mouse is hovering over the object. It came up 598 times, because that was how long I was hovering my mouse over that object. Now that I've showed you the on mouse functions, I'm going to show you how to create your own manual mouse control function, and that's going to detect whether or not you are using the left or right click. Let's go back to our script. I am going to start typing void mouse controls, put an opening and closing parentheses, and open up my squiggly brackets. Press enter. Now that text right here, mouse controls, that's white. Notice how on all of the other ones, start, update, and on mouse over, since they're built-in functions, they are blue. But since this is a function that I have created, it is white. I am going to zoom in a little bit. Let's start by creating an if statement. An if statement starts by saying if, and then you open up parentheses, and make sure it has a closing parenthesis. And then after that, you open up your squiggly brackets and your closing squiggly brackets. Press enter while your cursor is inside those. An if statement needs a condition in the parentheses, and our condition is going to be if input. So if we are receiving input, that is the interface into the input system, input dot get mouse button down. Notice that we have get mouse button and get mouse button up as well. Those are very similar to on mouse down and on mouse up, but instead we are going to be able to specify the exact button we are clicking on our mouse. And the main difference between using it this way and using the on mouse functions are the on mouse functions are specifically referring to the game object that this script is attached to. This right here just says if we get any input with the mouse button down. Input.getMouseButtonDown, and then this is a function, so you want to add another set of parentheses, and inside of those parentheses it is expecting the ID of the mouse button you are trying to detect. For the left mouse button, we want to press 0. Notice how that red squiggly line goes away. And this basically means if we receive input from the player pressing the left click on their mouse, I'm going to write a print statement, print left click pressed, and end that with a semicolon as always. And under that, still inside of the mouse controls function, click underneath the if statement that you wrote and type if input dot get mouse button down, add those opening and closing parentheses again. This time we want to press 1, and 1 is the ID for your left click. Hold shift and press the left bracket key to add your left opening squiggly bracket. It'll add your closing, press enter. And now type print right click pressed. Add a semicolon and press Ctrl S to save. Let's go back to our project. Give your scene a moment to compile and then press the play button. And now, not specifically clicking on that cube, we can also click on the cube. Oh, notice that we still have the statement for the mouse is hovering over the object. I am going to press play to exit play mode and go back to my script. And for now, I'm going to extend this chunk of commented out code to this function as well. I am going to highlight the asterisk and / at the bottom here and press Ctrl X. Then I am going to place it right after the end bracket of the on mouse over function and press Ctrl V. And I'm going to press Ctrl S to save. Now, since our mouse controls function is not a built-in function, we need to make sure that it is called somewhere. Specifically, we want to make sure it's called in our update function so that it is always listening for our mouse event. Inside of our update function, type mouse controls and add your parentheses and semicolon. Let's press Control S to save. And now let's go back to our scene. Press play to test your scene. And now I've commented out anything that has to do with this box here. So nothing, not when I hover, not when I click on top of it. If I click, it's going to still detect that I am clicking, but it is not dependent on if I'm clicking on the box. I'm going to click all the way right out here into the void, into space, left click. Notice that I get a message that says left click pressed. Now I'm going to choose another place and press my right click, and it says right click pressed. Left click, right click. If I uncollapse, you'll see that I am getting a message, left click, right click, right click, left click, right click, clear. Let's press play to exit play mode. Now that we've covered mouse input, we are going to move on to keyboard key input. Click on the clickable object and look at its inspector. We are going to uncheck this checkmarked box right here next to the little script icon and to the left of the title of the script on mouse example. This is going to make it so our script doesn't work anymore. It's inactive. I'm going to add a new script. I'm going to name this script key input example. Click new script and then create and add. Let's double click our script in the project file window. Double click to open up that script. And now we are inside of our key input example script. Let's start a new function underneath our update function. Make sure that you are still inside the public class between these two brackets, but you are not inside the update or start function. We are going to start typing out our own function, void key controls, opening and closing parenthesis, opening and closing squiggly bracket, and I'm going to press enter. Now I'm going to create another if statement. I'm going to type if, and then start a parentheses and ending parentheses. I'm going to go ahead and open that up right now and press enter. Inside of these parentheses, I am going to say input dot. We're actually going to click any key down. And now that's going to report to us, no matter what key is down, that we are pressing a key. Let's put a print statement inside and say any key was pressed. End it with a semicolon, and then we are going to press Control S. Now we need to put our key controls function in our update function so that it is called key controls. And there we go. We called the key controls function inside of the update function. Let's press Control S to save. And now let's return to our scene. It's going to take a moment to load. And now let's press play. Now, no matter what key I press, it should give us a print statement in our console. I'm going to press the spacebar. It says any key was pressed. I'm going to press the J key, the O key, the Enter key, the / key. Any key you press, that is going to appear. Let's press play to exit play mode. And let's press clear to clear our console. Now I'm going to show you how to detect when a specific key is pressed. Let's erase this any key down inside of the if statement. So now we have if input dot, and then I want you to type get key down, add an opening and closing parenthesis after that. That is the same as get mouse down, but in terms of keys, when you actually press down on the key, this is when the print statement or whatever you wrote inside of the code is going to happen. We need to specify what key we are pressing inside of the parentheses here. So I'm going to type key code, capital K and capital C, and then dot. And then as you see, we have a huge list of buttons that you can select. For now, we are going to use space as an example. So I'm going to type space and then click right here. Now I'm going to change my print statement so that it says space was pressed. Now let's press Ctrl S to save our script, go back to our scene here, and then press play to test our scene. And now I'm going to press the space button right now. I'll press it again, and now you see we were able to detect when the space was pressed. Let's press the play button again. I'm going to go back to my code. Let's add another if statement right underneath that says if input dot get key up. Make sure that you are choosing get key up this time. Open the parentheses and close the parentheses. Then inside of there, I want to add the same key code dot space. And after the last parenthesis here, I'm going to open up this squiggly brackets and press enter to open this container. And I'm going to create another print statement, print space was released, and end that with a semicolon. Save your script, go back to your scene. We will press clear, press play, and now I'm going to press and hold space, and we get that message, space was pressed. And now we should get a message saying it was released as soon as I release the button, which I am going to do now. Press it again, press it quickly, and we are able to detect when the key is being pressed down and when it is being released. Press play to exit play mode. We're going to go back to our code. And I'm going to quickly show you that this will apply to any key that you want. I'm going to say A, capital A, which represents just the A key on the keyboard. Everywhere it said space, I'm going to change it to a capital A, which is the key code for that button. And then where it says space was pressed, I'm going to change it to the A key was pressed. Space was released is now going to be the A key was released. Now let's press Ctrl S again and test our scene once more. Now I'm going to press this space bar, and as you can tell, we are not able to detect the space bar being pressed anymore. And now I'm going to press the A key. Holding it, release it, I'm just tapping it, and we can see when it is pressed and when it is released. That has been your introduction to mouse and key input detection. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.